Welcome back. So this is a test to test out the silicon lottery of the exact same chip. So both of these are the 14-inch M3 Max with 14 CPU, 30 GPU chips. The only difference is this one is a 1 terabyte SSD and this one is a 512 gigabyte SSD. So I set both at when connected to power to be high power, as you can see, high power on both of them. And I guess what I want to see is how they both perform. So we just crossed 6 minutes and I'm seeing 3.58 gigahertz and around the same. It was a 3.58 and I was jumping around a little bit. So they're not throttling much after 6 minutes of CPU load. It is 65 degrees in this room. .58 on the 1 terabyte, 3.49 on the 512, but it keeps changing around just a little bit. And this is the CPU multi-core. I don't know, the 1 terabyte is doing just a little bit better. It's not really throttling. As you can hear, both fans are running full speed. You can hear them. I'm leaning close to the keyboard. Something about this new 1 terabyte is keeping it just a little bit cooler. Not sure why. As it's staying at 3.58 on the performance cores. Oh, there we go. We have 3.58 on the 512. We are 7 minutes into the test. So as the test is finishing up, as you can see, 3.58, 3.58 gigahertz for the performance cores on both machines. Now it's increasing because the test is done. So the room is about 65 degrees, maybe a little higher, Fahrenheit. The fans are blowing full speed. But what I'm concluding here is that these are not too different than the 16-inch with these benchmarks and these throttle tests. It kind of depends how warm the room is, it seems. Okay, so let's see. The 1 terabyte, identical but 1 terabyte. For GPU, it's 7925.7925. The 512 is 8005. Okay, so this one is a little bit more. For the CPU, you have 1363 points for the CPU multi-core, and this one is 1347. So they're about the same. These are just a few points from each other. Yeah, I mean, less than 20 points between. So the chips are about the same. This one scored 80 points less than this one. So the 512 gigabytes scored 80 points more than the 1 terabyte for the GPU. Not sure what's up with that. But for the CPU multi-core, the difference is 16 points. It's kind of the opposite. This one scored less. This one scored more. But again, everything was set to high power. It's plugged in on both of them. They're both plugged in. And the room is around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The fans are blowing full power. Yes, right now it's showing at 4 gigahertz on the performance cores. Now they're dropping a little bit. But from tests that I've seen for the 16-inch Max, they're actually performing at 3.6. stable. These are doing 3.58, but they're blasting full fans. And these are the 14-inch. So what does this tell me? They are both running the same, just about, and they are actually running the same as the 16-inch version. But it depends. Last time I tested this, I didn't plug it in. I didn't test it as high power mode. This time I did plug it in and I set it to high power. And both performed the same and both got very similar results as the 16-inch Max. So there you go. It's okay to get the 14-inch, but if you're in a warm room and if you're not plugged in and you're not set at high power, you may get a slightly slower performance score. It looks like it's throttling a little bit. I'm not sure if that's a throttle or if that's just what it's doing, but I'm pretty happy with these. And as far as silicon lottery, they are very similar. Maybe if I run this test again, I'll get slightly different GPU numbers, but it changes a little bit each time. Let's see what we have here. There you go, it's running at 3.6. Same thing here. And these are 1360. I think this was my previous, yeah. So this is my previous test here. I remember getting 1360. This time we got 1347. So there's going to be slight differences. All the apps are turned off on these. CineBench is the only thing running. Again, it's plugged in. And there you go. See the Blackmagic speed test. This is the 1 terabyte going at 6,200 read, write, and 5,100 read. And this is the 512 gigabyte, 4,200 write, close to 5,000 read. So the write speeds are faster on the 1 terabyte. We're seeing 6,300 versus 4,200 for the write. So this is the 512 gigabyte, and this is the 1 terabyte. The 1 terabyte writes about 2,000 megabytes per second faster. Again, the 1 terabyte version of this Mac writes about 2,100 megabytes per second faster than the 512 gigabyte version of the exact same Mac. Now the read speed, as you can see, it's 5,100 on the 1 terabyte, and on the 512 it's around the same for the read. So the read doesn't matter, but the write speed, again, there's a 2,100 megabytes per second difference if you just double up on the SSD from 512 to 1 terabyte. So if that makes a difference to you, probably won't make a difference for most people, but if you need to write fast, there you go. But the read speeds are about the same.